start here in about 2 or 3 more minutes here. We'll give time for any stragglers to come in, and then we'll find them.
I guess Roger could have
Lauren keep it pretty good. I think she leaves a list of things we knew every day.
Oh, there you go. Not being married, I know I want to make sure that if I don't want to do it, I have to.
Go ahead and call our meeting to order for the month of June 2023. If everyone will please rise. Place your hand over your heart, please. We'll say our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You can be seated. Welcome everyone to our meeting here tonight. We'll go ahead and get started with the approval of tonight's agenda. Council members, you've had a chance to go over this. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda at this time? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve our agenda as presented.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, show of hands, please. You also have the minutes of our regular meeting from May. If you've had a chance to look over that, I'll entertain a motion to approve those at this time.
So moved.
And a second. All in favor of the minutes of approval? 5-0 on that. We'll go into our first section of public comments, and this is on agenda items and agenda items only. So if you have something that you'd like to comment before we get on our agenda, you can come to the podium and speak. Otherwise, if you have another thing that you want to talk about, we'll entertain that at our last public comment. So does anybody want to talk about anything on the agenda here tonight? There being no movement, we'll close that out. And we'll end that first part of our public comments. At this time, I'm going to go to the podium, and I'd like 4 young ladies to come up here with me, if they would. These track stars from Allegheny High School. Always good. This is one of my favorite things to do, is to recognize our athletes in our high school for a job well done. These 4 young ladies went to the state track and field competition, track meet, done an outstanding job. They finished 6th in the 4x100 meter relay event. We also had a couple other ones that finished in another event, and I'll tell you what that is when I present their certificate. But for now, and I hope I don't butcher your name up, Felicita Gonzalez on one leg of the 4x100 relay team event. We just want to recognize you for an outstanding job. Appreciate that. Allie Glenn, another anchor on that. I think she was the first leg of it right there on the relay. Sarah Bear, not only did she help with the relay team, she placed 4th in the 100-meter dash. Outstanding job, Sarah. Appreciate that. Last but not least is Phoebe Murphy, who was the last leg, I believe, right? Or the third leg. Second leg, I get it right. You're a leg on that relay team. And she used both legs to place 2nd in the long jump. So that was great. And we just want to say thank you, ladies, for just representing Allegheny High School. And on behalf of the Sparta Town Council and all our citizens here in Sparta, we just want you to know how proud we are of you. Great job. Appreciate you guys. Good speech. Baby, you want to say anything for the girls? All right. Just an outstanding job. And to go to the state like that says volume. Post office is hiring for same-day delivery. Hey, gotta get a picture right here. You gonna get a picture of this thing?
I certainly can.
Here, ladies, right here. In fact, if the council wants to stand up there behind us, we'll come right up here. 2 of you right here, and 2 of you right here, and I'll be happy to stand in the middle of this fast crew right here. We're changing it from express mail to express free mails.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Awesome, that'll do.
Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it.
Oh, this chair's giving me so much trouble this evening.
And I'll give you guys time to scoot out there if you want to go ahead. That way you don't have to sit through the whole meeting if you don't want to. At this time now, we'll go into agenda item number 6, which is our public hearing on our budget. So I will open up the floor for the public hearing. Anybody that wishes to talk about the budget. There being no movement to the podium once again, we will now close our public hearing, and I'll take a consideration of the budget ordinance as presented.
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Y'all be disappointed if I didn't. And I appreciate the good job Brian, all of you did on getting the budget together. Of course, last month we had multiple things going on, and that was the first time we saw the itemized budget, so there really wasn't an opportunity to look at that. So I had just a couple of questions. I already talked with Brian about some of these things. On the Chamber of Commerce, we have $29,000 for them, and then there's another budget line, which is economic development. And that economic development line item, 36,250. And Ryan, if you don't mind, you elaborate to me a little bit about what that's for. If you don't mind sharing with the other council members, what that budget item, that line item is about.
So that line item, as Councilwoman Richardson outlined, does include the chamber appropriation of $29,000.
Now, the 29 was separate,
No, it's included.
so the 36,250 includes the 29.
Correct. And the remaining of that line item is for maintenance and upkeep of that facility.
Okay, and that basically, Ryan, I'm sorry I didn't get that clear, but that pretty much explains that. I didn't realize the 29, because they were listed separately. Now, we did talk just briefly, so that's all I need to know about that. We talked a couple of months back about the building itself, and we had some discussions, and we didn't follow up on that. So, just to go back to that real briefly, the building itself is 2,574 square feet. It's on the tax books for $151,600. Of course, we don't have to pay taxes on it, obviously. But it is a very valuable piece of property downtown. I just guesstimated now at $1,200 a month rent, which is probably low based on the other rentals in town. That would be $14,400 per month. So the total we're giving the chambers $36,250. That's the total.
So $29,000 goes directly to them.
Right.
We maintain the other 7,000 whatever to pay for maintenance and cleaning. We maintain that and pay that out.
Right. And do we pay? Do we have insurance on the building? Do we pay the electricity?
No,
Electricity's no.
correct.
But the insurance is in that 7,000 plus or minus.
No,
So the insurance is on top of that.
correct.
So do you have any idea what that figure is?
Not off the top of my head.
But that's what,
Do you?
No, it's included, we can accept, but it's included in everything.
so all of our buildings are under one contract.
Correct.
So the discussion that we had is, we're providing that building and multiple services. I think was kind of a long discussion. So we discussed renting that. Now, they're paying what, $225 a month? A year,
240 a year.
$240 a year, which is just a token. We discussed renting it, leasing it, selling it to them. I think with our budget constraints and you all trying really hard to keep a tight budget and keep everything in line, do any of the other council members have thoughts on that, about changing that relationship that we have with them, about leasing the building or selling the building to them?
I do think that this is an opportunity for us to talk about this at a later
Later
date.
time, not in the budget.
Because this is not in the budget, and we could talk about this at a later time.
Okay.
And I think that we have agreed, Ryan mentioned last meeting that we look at all options that we have and have come to
So
the
that
table.
doesn't have to be done.
That doesn't have to be done with our
Okay.
budget tonight, so.
Well, that's gonna spare you all a lot of my discussions. Um, the other thing I had was cost of special events, and that's something I guess out of the realm of the budget too, because we passed the amendment that sets a fee for special events, and then we dropped that and we never looked at it, so basically the law enforcement and maintenance people are covering these special events, and
But in our previous meetings, we had talked about appropriations, and we cut back the appropriation that we give to these events to offset our expenses. That's why their appropriations was less this year, to offset our costs. So we're still good to go on that.
And Councilwoman, to your point, the town council inside the special events ordinance does maintain the right to charge
right,
for police protection if you deem necessary.
right.
That is
Right,
outside
right.
of a
That's-
budget, y'all can impose that at any time.
Okay, so that's basically, the questions I had, and certainly those are the answers, so that's all I have.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the budget as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Second, any further discussion? Show of hands in favor, and those against. 3-1. Agenda item number 7 is a resolution in opposition of Senate Bill 675, if you want to go into that. I'll let you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Town Council, included in your packet, is a resolution in opposition of Senate Bill 675, which, inside that bill, there's about 3 parts. The most, prolific to me is it has language to eliminate the ETJ. And while those citizens do not pay taxes, that 1 mile radius around the corporate limits, our current zoning ordinances and land use plans are enforceable in that area. So elimination of that zone would eliminate our ability to regulate growth, development, any kind of mixed use or incompatibility between what's coming in and what's already existing. So in my opinion, it very much undermines our ability to control growth, plan for infrastructure, and maintain the general appearance of our town. So that resolution is before you, and I would recommend you approve this and we send it to our legislator.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Show of hands. That resolution is 4-0. Mr. Manager, if you want to continue on, I'll let you talk about the retirement plan resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Town Council, also you have 2 resolutions which essentially adopts the plan documents for our new retirement plan. We voted to switch that plan effective July 1. Myself and the finance officer has reviewed those documents. It is in line with how we want to invest and how folks can take their money or withdraw from that. So I recommend adopting those resolutions.
This is for both of them.
It is.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Show of hands in favor of that is 4-0. And we'll move on to the Bledsoe Creek Interceptor Project bid award.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Town Council, on March 23rd, with the assistance of the Lane Group, we received and opened bids for the Bledsoe Creek Interceptor Project. Again, this is about a 2-year project we've had in the works. We got $1.3 million from state funding. We had 3 bids that we opened. Lock Lane Construction was identified as the lowest, most responsive bidder with a bid of $1,562,300. $380. That leaves us in just a little bit of a deficit for that property or that project. We knew that was gonna be the case, and we've taken steps to secure funding for that. So I would recommend, as well as the engineer recommends, awarding that bid to Lock Lane Construction.
So moved.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Show of hands in favor of awarding the bid. 4-0. And we're moving right along with our rezoning request of a parcel.
So, parcel 3071710622, it is on Grayson Street, directly across from Atwood Street. We've received an application by the property owner to rezone that parcel from R12, a single-family residential, to neighborhood business. I would recommend referring that to the planning board and setting a public hearing at our July meeting.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second to move it to the planning board. All in favor, show of hands. 4-0 on that. And we are into your manager's report.
Thank you. Just 3 quick items. As I'm sure you're all aware, the sidewalk improvement project kicked off this week. They're currently working on West Cheat Street. They have made significant progress already. They intend to be there about 2 weeks. They will complete that segment of sidewalk, then they will move to East Dowden Street. So, thing is on schedule there. As long as the weather holds out, we'll be in good shape. The paving project, we went through some last minute details with the contractor, ensuring all the roads were captured, making some minor adjustments to the scope. They anticipate starting within the next 2 weeks. So they're gonna start center of town and then work outward. So we intend to see some paving going down within a week or so. And then the last piece I have is a huge shout out to everyone that showed up to the splash pad opening. Our town staff for coming in, doing what was needed on a Saturday. Miss Peggy and the ladies served a lot of barbecue and hot dogs, and the guys manned the bounce house, and Steve Mason cooked our barbecue. So thank you to those folks. Lock Lane, Andrew Sherrill for his co-sponsorship of that event, and then to Sarah for orchestrating, coordinating, and pulling off a great event despite the weather. So, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
I'd like to second all that and appreciate everybody's effort on that splash pad. And we now know what to do in case of a drought, just to have another grand opening for our splash pad, because it hasn't stopped raining since. So that's good. That's a good thing. Our kids now, our young kids have somewhere to go and spend the summer in Cool Lake. I'd like to take this opportunity to also give kudos to Peggy and her staff upstairs and Ryan for our tax collection. I recognize them. We are at 98.04% in tax collection, which is the highest it's ever been. Outstanding job to each one of our members of our staff. And in reality, that saves our citizens here in Sparta $20,000. Saves them $20,000. So thank you for your hard work, and we greatly appreciate it. At this time, I'd also like for everybody to remember one of our own in your prayers. I'm not going to mention any names, but the young man is in Watauga right now, and he's getting some tests done on his heart. And let's just remember one of our own tonight, and keep him in your thoughts and prayers. With that being said, I'll open up our public comments. So if you have anything that you'd like to do, please come to the podium and state your name, and we'll open up our public comments at this time. Anybody else? Hello, everybody. My name is Garrison Wagner. I'll try not to take too much of your time. First off, I'd just like to state the reason that I'm here. I'm not here to bash anybody or ruffle any feathers. I've just got a couple of things I'd like to address with the council. You know, here in the, I started to see a pattern here recently of patrol units stationed directly across from our business, across from 527 South Main Street. And, you know, once in a while here and there, you know, I can live with that. But when it becomes an every weekend thing, I start to raise questions as to what is the purpose of stationing units right directly across from my place of business. And, you know, to further that, two of our staff have been stopped by the town Sparta police as they've been leaving work, both on the claims of having fictitious tags on the vehicles, everything checked out in the end. But I'd just like some answers as to why that. I feel like not only me, but our staff is being targeted, and I don't understand why.
Garrison, have you had a meeting with the chief yet? Have you talked to him?
We have not, and I feel like it was more appropriate to bring it to the attention of the council before we take any further steps. But you know, when you have a staff member approach you after working a 12-hour shift and said, "Hey, you know, I got pulled tonight on the way to see my mother on Mother's Day," and gets pulled for having a, you know, quote, fictitious tag, and then after the stop's almost completed, gets put through a field sobriety test. I don't understand the purpose.
What I would suggest is talk to the chief and see why it is, if there's a reason. If not, then I would think that might slack off a little bit.
I'd be happy to talk to him, yes, sir.
That would be my next step, and if you don't get a resolution there, then come back to the council and see what we can do.
We do have, Ryan, please somebody stop me if I'm stepping out of line, but we do sort of have a chain of command situation. So as much as we certainly understand your situation and are empathetic to it, the proper procedure is to speak with the chief, and if you don't feel if the situation is resolved, then come back with us. Is that not more or less the procedural way that it should be done?
So, general statute wise and personnel wise, police officers report directly to Chief Terry.
Right.
And then everyone outside of myself, the town attorney, and the clerk reports to me. So I am 100% confident that the officers that are under Chief Terry's supervision as well as mine are operating within their duties. And should that not be the case, we will certainly look into that. However, officers have a job to do. They have parameters they have to operate within, and it is hard for myself or Chief Terry to tell them how to enforce the law. They swore to the Constitution just like everybody else in this room, so they have an oath of duty, and I feel certain we are doing that. We will continue to enforce the laws regardless of public opinion. However, we will take your complaint and we will look at it.
I'm not asking you not to enforce the law, but there are 4 other mixed beverage use permits across town. You don't, and it seems like you're right there sitting in front of mine as opposed to anybody else's.
So do you have proof that we don't sit in front of anyone else's store?
I'd love to have a discussion with you, Madam Chief.
I would look forward to that.
So I think that would be the next step in this,
Right.
Chief, if you don't mind, you and Garrison, Brian, if you'd like to sit in there. Set you guys up a meeting and let's get that together and talk about that and see if we can come to some kind of agreement and see what's going on. Is that okay, Garrison?
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Anybody,
Appreciate you coming down.
anybody else that would like to come up and speak or public comment? That being said, we'll go ahead and close that edition of public comment and entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. 4-0 on to adjourn. We'll see you next month.